I don't know. I didn't see that one. Well, okay, it's been a while.
Yeah.
He hadn't made
Amber
one
Heard was in
for
it. Yeah.
quite a while. He's just been hanging out, smoking weed, and playing video games. News bits are those little news stories that aren't quite big enough for their own story, but we still want to give them a little bit of a mention because we like talking about them. And the first one is actually tying into something we talked about on News Bits I think it was like a week ago. They announced that Spider-Man Miles Morales was coming to PC. And just like its forebear Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man. But we did not have a release date, and we do have a release date now, and that is November 18th. So just over a month from now, you'll be able to get your Spider-Man Miles Morales on PC and it apparently has very similar specs to the Marvel Spider-Man that came out a month or two ago. So if you could run that, you should be able to run this one. Have you played Miles Morales? I think you said you have, right?
Yeah. I had it when I had the brief time of having a PS5. I did play it. It's great. It's real great. It's a shorter version of the Spider-Man game, but I think it's actually more interesting and compelling having Miles Morales as the Spider-Man. And I saw the trailer for it for the PC port that's being put out, and man, those PC ports look nice. I'll say that much. So,
well, I'll probably get it. I liked Marvel Spider-Man. I didn't play it on PlayStation. I played it on the PC. I liked it, but admittedly, I kind of fell off. It just kind of became a bit repetitious for me. I heard that it picks back up, and it was a good game. I'm not disparaging it. It was a really good game. But I think the Miles, I just don't have a lot of time to devote to like a big, huge game anymore. But the Miles Morales one, seeing as how it is that, maybe a little bit better and shorter, that kind of speaks to me. So I'll probably be picking that up on November 18th and give it a shot on my Steam Deck. Because Marvel, I assume it'll work on the Steam Deck. I didn't really see that in the article. The first one did. So I'm assuming this one will as well. Alrighty, so this next bit actually links somewhat in person to a review we're going to do in a little bit. David Gordon Green. We both know who that is, don't we, Nick? I think you're going to have some choice words for Mr. Green here in a little while when we talk about his latest endeavor. Well, after Halloween, he apparently is attached to an Exorcist remake. In fact, an Exorcist trilogy that they're working on. It's a remake, and I guess I don't know if they're remaking the first 3 films or they're just doing a remake and then having 3 films. Either way, it's a trilogy, and he has said that's long known that was happening, but he has said that it is going to start filming right after Halloween, so right around the corner. So chances are we'll be getting that early next year, or not early next year, but in time for Halloween next year. Me, myself, when it comes to David Gordon Green, I think he's a competent director. He's made some really good stuff, and he's made some not so good stuff, and he's made something we're going to talk about in a few minutes. But when it comes to The Exorcist, I've never been a huge fan. Nothing against it. It's just not my cup of tea. It doesn't really scare me. I know people call it the scariest movie ever made. I don't really ever find it scary. But how about you, Nick? What do you think of The Exorcist and the fact that it's being remade by David Gordon Green?
You know, I'm very vocal about what I say about certain movies. This is very spicy, but I'm not a fan of The Shining, which I watched The Shining this morning because I was bored, and I only made it halfway through the movie because I'm not a fan of that movie. Same thing with this movie, The Exorcist. I get its appeal. I get, back in the 70s, this would have been scary, but there's only a couple moments in that movie, like the spider walk and maybe I don't know, the guy jumping out the window that was like, oh shit.
The spider walk actually wasn't in the original version either.
I know, that's what's crazy about it. Those are really cool scenes, but I don't know, like I'm more into like, Trick or Treat or Halloween or these other, I think I'm more into like the other side of horror more than like the Shining, more like I don't want to call them artsy horror, but they're more like highfalutin horror. I'm more into like let's see what Jason or Freddy or Michael Myers are going to do.
Slasher?
Slasher. Like the Cabin in the Woods stuff more than Exorcist. It's really weird.
I think The Exorcist would probably be considered the highfalutin one.
Yeah. I mean, The Shining's like more like, hey, look, it's Stanley Kubrick. He made a horror film. Great, that type of thing. But I don't know. Exorcist never really did it for me. I've tried many times to watch that movie. Never got into it.
Me neither. I know people have like a hell of a love for like the third one, I think. I don't remember much about it. There's like
with the nun that jumps out of nowhere,
I guess. But I've never really been a huge fan of that, so I don't really care about this news that much. But David Gordon Green being the guy used to be a comedy director. Now apparently he's a horror director. I mean, that's all he does now. Okay.
Yeah, he's one of those directors that's done like really odd stuff, like really off ball. I think he actually did. I want to say he did a movie called George Washington, that was like this really kind of dark indie film. I can't remember offhand, but he's a very weird director. What's that?
What was it about George Washington?
No, I think it was something. It was like about a young African American kid or something. I can't remember offhand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, those of you that are interested in The Exorcist, which neither of us really are, probably not.
We'll go back to yeah.
Those of you that are interested in The Exorcist and David Gordon Green, hey, well, it's coming, and probably, if I had to guess, I'd say by Halloween next year. That's what it sounds like. If they start filming this year, right after Halloween, it should be ready by then. And you're getting 3 of them.
Yeah.
So, a movie that I am interested in, very interested in, they got some good news this week. Not huge news, but good news, is Dune Part 2. And how its release date has moved up 2 weeks. And by up, I mean it's coming out earlier. We're getting it earlier than we initially thought. That's the reverse of what's been happening in the past few years. So we are getting Dune a few weeks early. I believe this has to do with the whole Marvel shakeup, primarily Blade, because it more or less moved into Blade's release spot that it just freed up recently. I guess they said, well,
yeah.
I guess they plan on being done by then, and they said, well, Blade's not going to be there, so let's just slot right in there, which makes sense. I mean, you don't want to go up against a Marvel movie if you don't have to. Regardless of what I think of the MCU, it's still a juggernaut, so I get why they don't want to go up against a Marvel movie directly. So, Dune Part 2 is coming. What, Nick? I would think that you'd be excited about this. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, man. Sooner the better. Bring this shit on. I'm ready. I'm ready to see what Paul Atreides is going to do next. Hopefully, Denis Villeneuve knows what to do with Paul Atreides next and doesn't focus on, as we've talked about many times in the past,
some of those things we've been hearing.
Yeah.
Hopefully that doesn't happen. I just want to see some people riding some big fucking worms out in the desert. People, come on. Now we get to see it 2 weeks early. But it's so I think that's November. I don't have the date in front of me. I believe it's November, the beginning of November next year. So just right over a year away from now, we should be getting that. Was it November or October? October or November, somewhere in there. Fall of 2023 is when we'll be getting the movie now. Just 2 weeks early, but hey, maybe something else will get canceled and it'll just slowly move closer and closer to us. I doubt that, but
right.
Dune 2, or Dune Part 2 as it's called, will be coming 2 weeks early next year. John Carpenter, he's a director. I like him. You like him, Nick?
He is. He's getting a lot of blame for Halloween Ends. Yes, yep. I know who he is.
Well, we're not going to talk about that so much, but he did direct and write and score and just all kinds of stuff. I know a favorite of yours, the original Halloween. He's done many movies that are favorites of mine, such as The Thing and Big Trouble in Little China and Escape from New York, and et cetera, et cetera. He's also had some duds, Ghost to Mars, things like that. But all of his movies, no matter how good or bad they are, I enjoy them all to some degree. Yeah. Well, he is set, because he hasn't really. What's the last movie he made? Was that Vampires movie?
Well, no, the last movie he made was the one with Amber Heard, I think. Amber Heard, the one where the Ward.
The werewolf.
That was what. No, yeah, was that a werewolf movie? I never saw it, but
what was it called?
Yeah, it was the Ward. It's called The Ward.
The Ward. Oh no. I don't know. I didn't see that one. Well, okay, it's been a while.
Yeah.
He hadn't made
Amber
one
Heard was in
for
it,
quite a while. He's just been hanging out, smoking weed, and playing video games. Well, while he was smoking that weed and playing them video games, one of the games he played was Dead Space, which is a series that had 3 games come out in the late 2000s, early noughts. Dead Space 1, 2, and 3. It was a very popular series, and it just like unceremoniously died. And like it just went away. Like the third one was kind of divisive, I know, but well, he said he wants to direct a Dead Space movie. Now, nothing is for sure, but he has been talking about this a lot apparently recently. He's been saying that he thinks it would make a really cool movie, and he wants to do one. There is a Dead Space remake coming out here real soon that's been catching some press. So, I mean, Dead Space is back in the limelight for a bit, at least for a bit. So, maybe John Carpenter, Dead Space, I could see it, because Dead Space does have some body horror thing inspiration going on there with its creatures. Necro, I can't remember what they call them. Necros, I think, or something like that.
Necromorphs.
Yeah, okay. There's a lot of John Carpenter inspiration there, so I could see him doing it. Would I want him to? I don't know. He has a very distinctive style. I don't know if Dead Space... I've only played the first one, and I didn't even play very much of it, honestly, but it didn't strike me as John Carpenter's style. I don't know.
No, yeah.
Especially his later films, like Ghost of Mars and Escape from L.A. and stuff like that. I love John Carpenter, but I don't know if this is a fit for him. It could be. Maybe it'd be awesome, but what you're saying no?
No, I love John Carpenter a lot. You know, his movies are hit and miss, but I love his style. But you know, his like biggest action movie maybe was Escape from New York, maybe Vampires, and I as much as I would like him to do that, you're talking about a movie that's going to have a huge budget. You're talking about a director that hasn't directed anything since 2010. You're talking about a director who it's hard with Carpenter because he's so flaky in what he wants to do anymore. The half time he just, like I said, wants to smoke weed and play AAA video games. And you know, actually, apparently he has an appreciation for Sonic the Hedgehog, which is kind of funny. But
yeah, that's a long known. Like when it came out long ago, I remember him saying something about that in the '90s. He was all about some Sonic.
But no, like Dead Space seems like a film like Guillermo del Toro would direct or something like that, or you know, somebody who has an experience with like true action horror suspense. Because though John Carpenter could do like a Geiger HR Geiger or whatever style, like, you know, putting characters and designing them, I don't think he'd be right for a directorial part.
Well, it's his style, his like the performances. It's campy, and I love it. But I don't. Dead Space isn't that. Dead Space is a much more serious, kind of darker horror, and his style just doesn't lend to that, in my opinion. I mean, who knows? Maybe make it be awesome.
Well, no, this dark Dead Space would be more like James Wan, to be fairly honest. I can see James Wan doing a Dead Space.
Kind of like Event Horizon. That's like very that tone. Well, just a little bit of camp, but I mean that tone I could see for Dead Space, but that's not John Carpenter. He's much more a little more kooky, kind of goofy. So I don't know, but hey, I mean, if he does end up making it, I'll go see it. I'll be interested in it. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
So, but hey,
don't count the discount him. I would I'd eat that shit up. But it's just like,
oh yeah,
maybe not. He's like 74 years old, so maybe not. I don't know. George Miller's doing shit, so who knows?
Yeah. Hey, Argento's still making movies. He's 82, so who knows? But John Carpenter, Dead Space, it could happen. We'll see here in the future at some point. All right, something else that's kind of out of nowhere. Actually, no, I skipped one. One more, another bit of gaming news, real quick. Xbox, or not just Xbox. We could keep going to Xbox Game Pass. Game Pass, because it's much beyond the Xbox now, is apparently coming to the Meta Quest. I hate that name. I'll say it every time, but it's coming to the Quest.
Wait. No shit. I did not know that. I actually didn't know that. That's badass. Like, I hate the name of the quest too, but tell me more. Tell me more, Captain.
Well, apparently it is coming. They don't have an exact date yet, but they did show some footage of it. It is coming to the Quest. It'll be in VR, but not. What it's going to be is it's going to be like you're in you have like this giant screen. It's going to have like a little setting where you're like in a theater, but you can play their games through the cloud, their cloud version of their games, cloud streaming or whatever, which is a lot.
Yeah.
If not all, but it's most of the Xbox Game Pass games. They are through cloud streaming, so you will be able to go in there and play them in VR, but like on a giant screen, like in a theater or something. Now, I will say it's going to be an official thing, where like a just like all the other Quest things, it'll be a tile you click on and go into an app and do that, which is cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you get to play a game on just like a theater screen, if you will. I will say this is actually already possible. You can do this now.
I'm sure it is. Yeah.
It's not like this is going to be an official app where you go in there and it'll probably work really good. But you can. I've done this, not with the streaming part of it, but I've done it with a game. You can actually go into. I don't know. I'm sure Quest has a similar thing. I'm not as versed on the Quest and some of its like actual specific apps as much. But I know that with VR, with like the Vive and the Index and stuff like that, you can go into Steam and you can do big picture mode, and you can go into environments where you're like in a theater or a house with a giant screen and play whatever's on your computer. They also have the app called Big Picture. Is it called Big Picture or Big Screen? I think it's called Big Screen.
Yeah, Big Screen. Yeah.
Which I've used that a lot of times to watch my own content, and you can watch whatever's on your screen there, including a game, and the lag on it is, I mean, next to nothing. Well, when I played it, at least, it was next to nothing. Now, when I did it, it was local, and I actually did watch. I've watched some movies on my Quest. You're not going to notice lag as much in a movie as you will like a video game. But when I play games, now I was playing it local on my computer, which my PC, my headset was running off of. The lag was very playable. It was non-existent. So you can do this now. You just have to do like you go into Steam and you go into like big picture or big screen mode, and you play PC Game Pass and just project that in there. But I imagine that this is going to be a better option, a more convenient option.
Yeah.
What they showed was cool. You like go in there and it just had it all on this big screen, and you picked what you wanted and you just played it. So that's pretty cool. But hey,
I know Quest. No, I was gonna say I know Quest has virtual desktop, which is kind of like what you're talking about.
That's the same thing as the Valve. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know that this is just another step in Microsoft putting Game Pass on everything. Like literally, they want Game Pass everywhere, and it's happening. They're getting it there, and we're going to actually talk about that a little bit more in a little bit. But hey, if you're a MetaQuest or Quest user or whatever, then you'll have the opportunity to have Game Pass here soon. And actually, the cool thing about Game Pass, I will say, is if you have Game Pass, you don't have to pay for it separately on each of these devices. You have Game Pass, it just works there. If it's on your TV, it works there. If it's on Xbox, if it's on PC, if it's on... I think it does. There's a difference in PC and Xbox, but it just works everywhere. So I think that's pretty cool. All right, so our last little news bit of the day. Andy Serkis, the man, the myth, the legend, known for all of his mocap stuff and all of that. He is apparently in the process of working or making a Wicker Man series. How that works, I don't know. But it didn't give a lot of information on it, but he is developing a Wicker Man series. Now, I will say, me, myself, I've never been the biggest fan of the Wicker Man, the one from 74, I believe it is, or the 2000, whatever, the Nicolas Cage one. There are clips from the Nicolas Cage one that I love, like the whole bear running around and punching the woman and the my eyes and the bees and all that stuff. Yeah. We all love that, but just watching the actual movie itself, I'm like, what in the actual fuck am I watching? I don't have it in me. So I'm not a huge fan of the Wicker Man, either one as a whole. How about you, Nick? You hear this? You hear, because Andy Serkis, he's made some competent shit, man. I mean, do you think Andy Serkis is barking up the wrong tree, or do you think he is finally going to do the Wicker Man justice with an extended series?
Well, I mean, his directorial efforts have not been great. I don't know how you feel about that Jungle Book movie, but he's not really that great of a director. Yeah.
You not so much.
He directed no. He directed something else which I wasn't a big fan of, but I so what is this going to be like every week? There's going to be like somebody who's going to be sacrificed to the gods in the Wicker
I don't
statue?
know.
Like,
They just said it's a modern retelling, and it has been updated to modern day. So I really don't know. They didn't give any other information. It's just a series. I don't know if it's a limited series or like a long form series, but it says Andy Serkis making a Wicker Man series.
as long as it's not Neil LaBute directing it, sure. Have at it there, Andy Serkis. I don't care about the Wicker Man series. This is once again going into like maybe I'm just not hip with the higher falutin horror films, but you know you gotta admit the Nicolas Cage one was pretty darn funny for when he punches people, like especially women, and has bees in his eyes and all whatever nonsense happens in that movie. So
there's some great meme worthy shit in that for sure.
Yeah, but it's not good.
No, it's not good at all.
Yeah.
But hey, I know it has a lot of fans, both Wicker Men. So if you're a Wicker Man fan, hey, they got a series coming to you. And I will say it's from Andy Serkis, and he's done a lot of good stuff, even if you didn't care for some of his directorial stuff. I don't know if he's directing this or not. He's just developing it. So he's a big name, and he's working on Wicker Man. You're getting it either way, whether you like it or not. So here it comes. If you're a fan of the Wicker Man, you're getting more Wicker Man action. And that's all we got on the news bits this week, ladies and gents. Let us know in the comments below what you think of David Gordon Green starting filming on The Exorcist, Spider-Man Miles Morales coming to PC on the 18th. Dune Part 2 coming at us 2 weeks early. John Carpenter wants to make Dead Space a reality. Game Pass on the MetaQuest. And, of course, Andy Serkis making that Wicker Man series. Let us know in the comments below.